So in this video, what you're going to see is you're going to see us actually digging the holes and planting the trees in the ground here. You're going to notice that I'm wearing a different shirt, and in part of the video I have a partner here working with me who's helping me out. So it's really not a two-part video, but in a way it is, because we filmed the first part, and then now a couple of months later we've come back to film the second part of the video. So stay tuned, here we go. Today's a beautiful day. It's kind of windy, and we're going to be planting some lychee trees in pure sugar sand. This is very sandy out here, so we're going to show you how we do that in this video, so stay tuned. There's a couple of important things that you need to realize about lychee trees, and today is a good example. It is extremely windy, and unfortunately I had no choice. This is the day that I had scheduled this. It's windy, and I have to deal with the wind hitting the leaves. Now these leaves are pretty hardened off already, but there's a little bit of new growth that's flushing out still. So I still have some new growth, and that new growth on here is going to suffer a little bit from the cold and the wind, because it'll dry it out, and that'll set back the growth of the plant. So one thing that a lot of people will do, and we won't do it on this video, but we will do this, is take some poles and put them in the ground around the tree, and then we're going to put some kind of material to screen the wind. So we're going to screen the wind around the tree, because that's been proven to help your lychee tree to grow much faster when your young leaves are able to actually flush out and develop, as opposed to constantly having to struggle because they shrivel and they die and they got to come back. And so what we've done is we've dug the hole about twice the depth and about 1.5 times to 2 times the width of the container. Okay, the bigger the better. But in this particular case, we're not dealing with a bunch of rocks and things like that, where you have to really be concerned about plenty of room for the roots, because it's very sandy and these roots are going to work their way through that sand looking for the water. So I'm not really too worried about that. So he's just basically going to go make sure when he puts it in the hole now is that we have it presented properly and that it's a little bit above grade. We're also going to take the roots and we're going to check the roots, make sure they're not terrible, they're not circling, and then we're going to go ahead and just rough them up a little bit to kind of aerate them and make sure that that they're able to start spreading out and not continue to grow in a circle. So you can see here that we have pure sand. I mean, this thing is 100% sand, and we're going to dig it out, and we're going to then add some organic material, some compost that I have here. Normally you don't add anything if your soil is pretty good, but this is so sandy that it's gonna just dry out very quickly. So this tree, we're in the dry season in Florida. It's cool out, so we have to make sure we water this tree properly. It is planted in full sun, and we're going to go ahead in a couple minutes here. We're going to present the tree down in the hole. Now in here you can see I'm having them rough up the roots a little bit, all right, and spread them out, because we don't want them to continue circling. Okay, so we're going to rough up the roots just a little bit. We're not going to go too crazy, just a little bit. There we go. And un poquitico más arriba, un poquito, just a little bit on the top. All right, we want to make sure those roots are not circling, and then we're going to go ahead and we're going to present that down into the planting hole. So if you see that, you can see that it drains very rapidly, and that can be good, but that can be bad. So we have to bring it up. So we're going to add some more sand and then topsoil to bring. We're actually going to add some compost right now. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Ahí está, yo creo que ahí está bien. Ahí está más alta, right? Yeah, that's good. Okay. It's important that you get the air pockets out. So what we like to do is we like to get that hose down in there and we go all the way around so we can get the air pockets out and make sure that the tree is properly planted. All right, so we're watering the tree in. We created a little bit of a moat around it, made a nice ring with the sand. So what happens here tomorrow is we're gonna come back and we're gonna remove some of this sod out to about 3 feet out away from the drip line. We're gonna then come back and we're gonna mulch this all out eventually so that we end up having a nice big circle of mulch all around the tree, 1.5 times away from the drip line of the tree. It's very important that we maintain plenty of moisture in the soil and keep this tree healthy by getting regular watering. All right, that's it. We've got our 2 lychee trees planted. We've used our red mulch because the customer wanted red mulch, and the customer gets what he wants, even though I tried to convince them not to use the red mulch and use something like eucalyptus mulch or maybe cypress mulch, but they wanted the red mulch. They got the red mulch. Our lychee tree, as I've said a million times, likes a lot of water, planted in very, very sandy soil. Remember, amend the soil with some organic material. Create a nice berm or a little mound around it, a nice ring. Make sure you begin to extend that out further and further so that you end up having a wide mound all around the tree of plenty of mulch, because you want to protect the roots in the summer from the intense heat, and you also during the dry season want to maintain as much moisture in the soil as possible. The other thing that's important that we touched on is the wind. We want to protect the tree from wind. It's a very windy day today, believe it or not, and I'm going to have my crew come back tomorrow because we ran out of time, and we're going to put some screening around it to protect the tender new growth from getting dried out and beat up by the wind. That will actually make the tree grow much bigger and healthier just for doing that one thing, okay? There is absolutely no wind protection on the, this is the east side, and I had a choice. I could have put this on the west side of the property, but I wasn't getting enough sunlight. So I decided to use this spot. I got all the sun that I can get. It's already almost sunset pretty soon in about an hour. So I've had plenty of sun here all day, and that's gonna be really important. When the sun comes up, the lychee leaves, if they're wet from the morning dew, will dry off quickly, which is always a welcome thing to have on your leaves early in the morning. The extra sunlight hours are gonna help the tree to grow strong and produce plenty of fruit. All right, so right here on my left, I have the sprinkler that's in the ground, and this is why I advise that they run a line to the tree with a bubbler. The bubbler will make sure that the tree is getting water right there at the drip line. That, as I said earlier, has not been done. The distance from this sprinkler to that tree is pretty far, so I'm starting to worry that these trees here may not be getting enough water. As I said earlier, they're not looking as good as they did when they were growing in the container and the day that I planted them. Now, I'm not responsible to take care of the trees, but I did come out here for almost every other day for almost the first couple of weeks, watered them by hand before the sprinkler system was here. And since then, I haven't been back. So I have to advise this homeowner to be really, really concerned about the watering, and now, as I mentioned earlier, the fertilization, because that tree behind me is flowering. I have 2 more important points to bring up, and that is the fact that the tree is actually already beginning to flower and it's setting some fruit. Now, with that said, it's important that we water this tree quite a bit right now because we want to make sure we get good fruit sets. So plenty of water for good fruit development. You get tremendous amount of rain and so on. You don't want to do that, because if you add water and it's raining, then you may end up giving it so much water that it can cause the fruit to split, okay? Now, in this case, we're kind of dry right now. It's just about mid-March of 2019, and we should be fine, but this tree is going to need supplemental water because we really don't get that much rain now. So giving it the extra water will help the fruit to develop nicely on the tree. One other quick point before I go, is that we have trees that are actually exposed to the wind, and in the video part where we're planting the trees, we talked about protecting them from the wind. Homeowner decided aesthetically he didn't like the look of that, so we actually took down everything and we left them alone just after like 2 days. So they're back to the way they were without the poles and the mesh around the side. I wish I had pictures of that. We didn't do it because I just sent the crew out there, and then the next 2 days it was all taken down. Anyway, mulching is important, and we have to come back and we're going to mulch out further because the homeowner also said he was going to take care of it. He got too busy. We thought he did it. He didn't do it. It's going to get done. Either he's going to do it or we're going to do it, but somebody's going to put more mulch because that's important. And then finally, what I wanted to say is that fertilization is really important, because if you'll notice, the trees that were planted the day we were planting were really nice and green. Now they're not so nice and green. They're starting to get a little bit, yellow, and that's not good. Part of that is because there hasn't been any fertilization, and part of it is because we have soil that is extremely sandy with very little organic material to help naturally feed the tree. So we're going to end up coming back and fertilizing the tree, okay? We're going to use low nitrogen fertilizer. We're going to increase the phosphorus and the potassium, but we're going to use low nitrogen. If you want to know more about how to take care of fruit trees, visit peppiesplants.com. Thank you very much, everybody. I really hope you enjoyed the video, and we hope to see you back again